Okay, everybody, I'm back from the future. I was in the 80s last night, as some of you know, so that's my new profile picture. It was actually some play. And I'm also back from the urgent care. Everything's fine. That's why I'm wearing glasses. I have some kind of eye infection, which will hopefully clear up by Friday of this week. But getting to the order of business today, three things: the importance of reorganizing personal space, accepting relationships as they are, unless, of course, they're toxic or abusive, which I'm using interchangeably, and then also my weight loss journey, which a lot of you have followed. So, as you can see today, I'm sitting out on my lovely porch. It's a little chilly, but spring is finally here, and it's fantastic. But anyway, I'm sitting out on my porch actually because I'm reorganizing my personal space because I actually have the time at this moment. It's an unusual moment of time where I'm not working like around 70 to 90 hours a week, which I usually have been doing, and sometimes I'm doing that. I have been doing that 6 to 7 days a week. So my balcony's been reorganized, and I have some nice furniture to sit on and plants and so forth. And I think that when you reorganize your personal space, there's almost an aspect of how it redefines you. And for me, it's sort of a cleaning up of my own boundaries. And I sort of see it as a strong way for me to identify those boundaries externally with other people. So that's the importance for me. And I think that for you, if you decide to reorganize your own personal space, then it will have a meaning for you in a different way, perhaps similar or not. So, moving on to the other topic of accepting relationships as they are. This is also related to, I think, boundaries too. People have their own boundaries. You have yours, and other people have theirs. And you need to basically accept the reality of the way relationships function, whether or not it's with your family members or your friends or a romantic partner. And if you don't, then you're going to be miserable. And I've actually learned some really difficult lessons myself about this, where I wanted to manipulate a relationship and I wanted to manipulate the person. And I'm not saying that in a malicious way. We're all manipulative in every relationship because we want to get something out of the person, and the other person is as well. So I'm not saying that in a negative way. We think of the term manipulation in a very negative way. I mean, if you think of a sculptor, they're manipulating clay, and that's not necessarily a negative thing. So I realized I don't know what happened, but I had some kind of an epiphany about this relationship, and I just thought, this relationship is the way it is. And I really hate the term or the saying, it is what it is, but there is sort of a beauty in that simplicity. And ever since I've made a shift in my own mind about my attitude towards this particular relationship, it has improved by leaps and bounds. And I'm happier, and the other individual in this relationship is much happier. So I think there's also an aspect of really, truly letting go and allowing for space. And this is related to boundaries, respecting another person's boundaries and giving them space. And if they want to remain with you, for example, in some sort of romantic sense, then they will. They will. You will give the relationship a breathing room, and then they will remain there, and they will be able to come to you. So if you literally let go and you essentially stop manipulating things, then it functions better. It's quite amazing, really, when you do it. And I know that sounds perhaps to some of you ridiculous because maybe you're better with your boundaries and you're better with accepting how relationships are. But I think really all of us struggle with that at this, and even if you're cognizant of it, you still do. And then finally, many people are always interested in the fact that I have lost a tremendous amount of weight, and I'm, by the way, into body positivity. People are all different shapes and sizes, and I just happen to be, however, at my heaviest. It was in 2012 when I got separated from my ex-husband. I was living in California, and I was extremely unhealthy. At one point, my blood pressure was through the roof. I don't even want to know what my my cholesterol count was, etc. I was an extremely unhealthy person, externally as well as internally, and I'm not anymore. I've lost upwards of 90 plus pounds. You know, I've dropped, I was, I'm not even going to say the size because I don't think size is important, but the size, I've dropped, I can't even tell you how many dress sizes. And for me, I'm happy with that. I mean, this is, again, this is not about praising being, you know, smaller, etc. Because that's not the type of person I'm at, or I am, excuse me, that's not the type of person I am. But for me, this is the body that I belong in. It was not the body that I was. And the thing is that I talked about how do you do this, or how did I do this? How did I lose the weight and also maintain the weight that I'm at? I made a lot of subtle changes. I used to have an awful diet. I lived in Arlington, Texas, okay, where, you know, this is, you know, meat country, it's queso country, it's margarita country. So if anybody is familiar with Arlington, Texas, it's between Dallas and Fort Worth. I mean, I ate pizza, queso dip, you name it. I mean, it was really terrible food, and I ate it all the time, and I also was a snacker. And when I got separated from my ex-husband, I made radical changes. I was always an exerciser, but I became more of an exerciser. I cut out all bad fats. I cut out all sugar. I still had diet soda at that point, but about almost a year ago, I cut out soda entirely, diet soda. Occasionally, I'll have ginger ale, occasionally. I do drink, you know, wine and so forth, but you know, aside from the occasional, you know, dessert, which I generally only have in Europe because they don't have as much sugar in their desserts, I do not touch dessert at all. I just don't. And I walk, by the way, anywhere from 4 to 7 miles a day on top of running at least a mile or a mile and a half a day. So this is sort of the way I operate, and there is a regimen, and I do not snack, and if I do, I have almonds, and all of my fats come from olive oil. And I eat a lot of lean meats, and occasionally I will have red meat. You know, I had red meat on Friday, as a matter of fact. I had a steak with mashed potatoes. But, you know, I drink tons of water. I drink only water, essentially, and I also enjoy kombucha. But that's essentially what I did. I did a major overhaul of my diet, but I didn't do it immediately. That's the thing. You don't just go from one extreme to the other. I began to cut things out subtly so that I didn't feel deprived. And now when I eat, you know, the foods that I used to eat, I literally get sick. I no longer want those foods. I do not crave pizza. I do not crave these things that my body used to crave. It actually makes me ill. So the foods that I crave are spinach and kale and, you know, boiled eggs and things like that, and legumes. That's such a funny word. Anyway, that's how I did it. And I don't believe in fad diets like, you know, Whole30 and, you know, these other sorts of diets. I'm very suspicious of these things because they are extreme and they're not realistic. And I think that when you go on diets, you're setting yourself up for failure because it's a mindset, and then you wind up breaking it and you wind up, quote, falling off the wagon, because that's how diets are designed. Diets are not, they're impermanent. But the way I eat is not impermanent, because if I want to go have some French fries, guess what? I do. And if I want to have chocolate, I have chocolate. But day to day, I'm cognizant of what I consume. But there's no sort of good foods and bad foods, and I'm on this diet, or I'm, you know, only doing paleo, or whatever it is. So I'm really, really anti-diet, you know, insert diet's name that you're doing. That's just, I think it's frankly unhealthy thinking. And, you know, I think that I'm an example of, you know, if you are striving to lose weight and you want to maintain weight loss, I would say that the fact that since 2012, not only have I lost weight, 90 plus pounds, but I have maintained this weight for several years now, that I think I'm a good example of how, you know, not dieting, but doing subtle changes actually works. And I am way too over the mark. I usually only do 4 to 5 minutes. I'm now at 9:38. And so I'm going to go back into the 80s, I suppose, and play, which, as you guys know, I said go play. So that's what I'm going to do. And I hope all of you have a really fantastic Tuesday. Okay? Bye.